Hello, Jim. Thank you for interviewing with Security Interviews today.
Thank you, Chris. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
So how did you first get involved in the security industry, Jim?
Well, it goes back to my high school days when I was trying to supplement my income, running two jobs and basically wanted to do some security work, and that's kind of where I got the flavor. And then from there, I got into the law enforcement center, and then when I came into California, I back in the early '80s, when you had a few people that really needed bodyguards. I got into that industry as well, and I've been doing it for about 20 years now in the executive protection, consulting, and investigations arena.
So when did you know that security was going to be your chosen profession?
Well, I think that it's just because of the passion and the love that I felt for the industry. In what we do, there's a lot of unpredictability. You can never, determine what the next day is going to be like or what it's going to bring. All the different people that, we meet in this industry as well, and the training that I've gotten and now that we teach as well and things has been very valuable as well. So I think just because of the industry itself, I'm very passionate about it.
So we're kind of in a bad economy right now, and I know it's affecting different segments and markets. How do you feel it's affecting the security industry as a whole?
Well, I think we've seen a lot of the key security positions taken away from corporations. And they basically have put those under the hats of HR, that now you're in charge of security, you're in charge of facilities, etc. We are seeing some change in that now, I think, where budgets are starting to come back a little bit and positions are opening up within companies. But I believe, just as anything, the biggest struggle, I think, for all businesses, and when you look at the physical issues that we deal with, is corporations need a lot of work, but they don't have the budgets to do it. And even if they do have the budgets to do it, it takes them forever to pay. Their terms are 90, 120, 180 days out, and I think that those are the struggles as well that impact the industry, because some companies, they can't hang on to that, and so everybody suffers from it.
So that's a good segue into technology and security, and that convergence, to use a phrase that seems to be thrown around in the security industry. How is that affecting the security industry, and where do you see that going in the future?
That's a great question. I think that as we have our physical security, and then there's obviously system security, there needs to be more of an integration, and I believe that companies are looking for those solutions where not only it's about a physical guard or investigations or even protection, but it's also about how that impacts IT, in their systems. So they go hand in hand, and I think more and more companies are looking for solution providers that really can bring that overall package to them, if I can use that word, because what it does is it puts an accountability in one place, so they're not having to chase down other individuals who need to be called on the stones for an issue, whether it's an IT issue or it's a physical security issue. They have one person or one company that they can deal with to make that happen. So I believe that the integration is key and critical. I think the other challenge you have is that you've got two kings. You have the king of physical security, which is normally your security director or manager, and then you have your king of IT, which is your CIO and your different people that are involved in your system side. And when you have two kings, you can't rule a kingdom. So the issue is trying to get everyone to, still have their area of expertise and their responsibility, but really to bring those two together and work more hand in hand, because the integration is critical. And I think companies that don't integrate the two together, I think that they are more susceptible to high risk in many different avenues. I mean, there's been documented reports of corporations that thought their IT guys were the best in the world and end up getting breached, losing all their personal data, and it was been done from the inside, from the IT department. You know, when you talk to companies about coming in and doing an audit to take a look at their firewalls and see if they can be breached and their code and how it's going out and how it's secured, you know, they're like, oh, no, you know, we pay this guy hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to do that, and then all of a sudden, you know, next thing you hear is that, you know, all their information is out on the World Wide Web, or they've been hacked. So when you work with physical security and you understand what their role and their concern is, I think the two will marry up together because they balance each other.
That's right.
You know, and how systems, I think, integrates with physical security is a standpoint of the whole package, being able to help not only from a halls and walls or a protection detail type thing, but utilizing card access and knowing how that works and working with biometrics as well. So I think that, or I hope anyways, my goal is to see that marriage stronger in the coming years. And I know that we've partnered with a company called End-to-End, which is a solutions provider. And so we're partnering together to bring that to our clients. So that's one of the things that we're very passionate about in the coming years.
So that kind of dovetails nicely again into the next question, which is, do you see any significant technology in the future that will impact the security industry?
Well, I think that's a given. You know, we currently are utilizing what we call WorldTrek, which is a GPS GSM system that does real-time tracking all over the world. It's right now currently used in over 52 countries, and it's very, very accurate. As that continues on just in that arena, I'm sure we'll see in the next few years more and more advancements in that technology. I think that because we are forward thinkers and because of the geniuses that we have that just sit there and think up things, we're going to see a lot of advancement. I think from our CCTV just alone, you've seen years how that's come out from these big, huge cameras now to, you know, basically a pin that can, you know, be color photo and zoom in and all these things. So our technology is growing, and I think it needs to. The key thing is, in technology, is when companies look at putting these things together, they need to look at the big picture of how this growing technology is going to impact their business. You know, because the flavor of the month this year, or the flavor of the month this month, next month may be a whole different flavor. And if you're not prepared to integrate that into your company's program and look forward thinking, you could be setting yourself up for some serious headaches.
That's true. So what do you think is the industry's biggest challenge? Not so much since 9/11, but today and going forward.
Well, the industry as a whole, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges. What I see from where I sit in our company, a challenge is really educating companies to become fire inspectors versus firefighters. And 911 is a great example. It was very unfortunate that it happened. It was tragic. But when it did happen, there was a lot of companies that were called out to throw guys up on the roofs with guns and in the lobbies with guns and bring in armored vehicles. And a lot of companies did that stuff, whereas we took the approach that, yeah, we could provide that, but what type of a card access system do you have in your lobby? And do you have band barriers? And, you know, what does your building access look like? And what's your CCTV system set up? So it was more like not just trying to throw things at them for a high bill, but really trying to help them understand where they were vulnerable. And even if they were vulnerable. And I think that we'll see that again as, you know, we continue to see the things that are happening. Perfect example this morning, or actually yesterday, no, it was this morning, Brazil. You know, 13 people were shot and killed in a school. You know, a guy walked in there, that 24 years old, HIV, found he had HIV, went in there and just shot the place up with 2 guns. You know, what do you do about that? How does that impact our industry? You know, the one thing is, do you throw a bunch of guys with guns out now in front of these schools, which totally makes it a prison? It may come down to that. And, you know, do you put metal detectors in every school? Or, you know, I truly believe that our impact is going to be in the hospitality field. I believe that hotels are going to be the next target. You know, and again, do you put screeners where every bag goes in, which would inconvenience every high-paying customer? You know, it may come down to that. So I think it's really important right now for us to get in a think tank and proactively think about ways that we can help mitigate the risk and at the same time help our clients to become a fire inspector so they don't hopefully have to be that firefighter. Because it's so often that companies say, oh, no, we're just going to leave it the way it is. And then all of a sudden when things get crazy or we go to a higher alert or something happens next door to them, you know, it's like the sky is falling.
Yep.
And sometimes that's the case, but other times it's not. So I think that is one of the things that is impacting as a whole in our security industry is how companies go about consulting and really finding out the true needs of what the client needs and then coming up with a solution that not only is affordable, you know, financially for the company, but that makes sense, physical sense.
So we talked about technology, and we've talked about some of the things that dovetail into security from the IT side. What do you see as the largest growth area for the future of security?
Well, there's no doubt that I believe it's technology. I mean, and I think the key thing is that everyone uses technology one way or the other. I think it's a matter of how it's sold, how it's designed and installed, but I truly believe that IT and systems will always outdrive physical services because of the demand. And I also see, too, that there's a lot of companies that are trying to do that. They're trying to take away the guard and put in the CCTV, put in the banded barriers, you know, put in the different scanning machines, biometric security to really kind of take that high cost away.
So they're leveraging.
You know, I believe we'll always have security guards and we'll always have a need for them. But I don't think that's going to be a critical thing. And I think what's really be interesting is to see how that impacts guard companies moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, how that's going to hit them. But there's no doubt in my mind that the IT systems is going to be the leader.